The HP Omen Transcendent 16 versus the Asus ROG Zephyrus 16-inch models. In this video, we're going to get into the build quality, usability, and ultimately the performance benchmark so you know which one is right for your needs. Now, first and foremost, the model I have before me here is the G16 versus the HP Omen in regards to the build quality. Now, in the benchmarks, I'm going to have the M16, the G16, and the HP Omen so you can see which one is best for you. The G16 is a little bit more budget friendly, but doesn't have the performance of the M16 or the HP Omen, and you'll see those details for yourself. Now, kicking things off, the weight and thickness of these two laptops, I was surprised to see the HP Omen get a little bit thinner than the G16 this year. This laptop has definitely thinned out. The form factor and build quality is much better than in years past. They've really put some nice effort into this laptop. Now, picking the two laptops up, it's pretty hard to tell which one is lighter. I'm going to put the weight and thickness up on the screen so you can see for yourself, but they both are a medium weight. They're not light, but they're not massively heavy. Now, taking a look at the build quality, the HP Omen is assembled very well. We have the bottom cover fitting into the side panels very nicely. You can see all the way around the chassis, it fits nice and snug bottom cover into the side panel. You have a pretty large vent here. However, if you look, there's only openings in these three spots. This entire piece is not one open vent. You have these three spots where the vents. So you have your two fans as well as the heat pipe that has some ventilation opportunity. Now you can also see along the back of the chassis here, we have a tiny vent on the bottom. And then we have these larger vents here along the back side, as well as a vent on the left side panel and the right side panel. Now, taking a look at the M16, this thing does have a very good assembly. However, there's a lot more going on with the bottom of this laptop. You have the hinge coming into the bottom cover. You have a lot of these design elements where it's very gamer looking. And then you have the ports kind of sticking out, creating these different shapes along the bottom cover of the laptop. So the laptop is a little less smooth along the bottom cover. However, the assembly is very nice the way the bottom cover fits into the side panels. So overall, Asus is still doing a great job assembling the laptops and putting them together nicely. I would say overall, and I'm kind of surprised to say this because last year I would not have said this, but I think the HP Omen is the better built laptop for this year compared to these two models. Really impressed with their updates on this model. However, I will say if you're concerned about fingerprints, the HP Omen is the laptop to be concerned about because it is very easy to fingerprint, especially if you have oily hands like myself. I get this laptop fingerprinted rather quickly. Anyone can find anything on the internet, including your full legal name, your personal email, your home address, phone number, and even your relatives. That's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, Aura. We've been using Aura to monitor our personal information online for over a year now and have been able to reclaim control of our personal data. This information is accessible because of data brokers who profit by selling your information to robocallers, telemarketers, spammers, and anyone else that wants to learn more about you. You can use my link by going to aura.com/BenjiKaiser to try a 2-week free trial to see how many data brokers are sharing your information. Aura's app also features a VPN, password manager, real-time credit and identity theft monitor, internet parental controls, and protects your devices from malware. Aura has almost every internet safety tool you'll ever need, all inside one app. Let Aura do the hard work of keeping you safe online. If you sign up right now, Aura will give you a 2-week free trial with my link in the video description. Now, going ahead and taking a look at the ports for the G16, we have our power adapter, HDMI, network port, USB Type-A, 2 USB Type-Cs, and a headphone jack. For the HP Omen, we have 2 USB Type-Cs and a headphone jack. Now, on the back side of the laptop, we have no ports on the Zephyrus, but we have an HDMI, USB Type-A, network port, and your power adapter for the HP Omen. Coming all the way around to the other side of the laptop, you can see the one advantage of the G16 is we have the micro SD card reader, so you can quickly expand your storage if you want to get more storage into your laptop easily. You don't have to take the bottom cover off of the laptop in order to do that. Just go ahead and slide a micro SD card in and you have expanded your storage. Now we have a USB Type-A on both for this side of the laptop. And also a bonus for the G16 is a Kensington lock. If you're somewhere you want to be able to lock your laptop to your desk as to mitigate theft. Now taking a look at the build quality, let's do a little top cover press. As far as the top cover press is concerned, there's a bit more flex on the HP Omen than on the G16. The G16 has very little flex on the top cover, whereas the Omen, you can see, pushes in quite a bit there on the top cover. Now, going ahead and opening and closing the lids with one hand, you can see both easily done. Now, let's go ahead and check the screen wobble. In the past, the HP Omen has been very famous for a lot of screen wobble. Let's see if they fixed that this year. Still a bit of screen wobble. I won't hit it as hard. I'll just do a light flick of it. So there is a bit of a screen wobble on there. And let's go ahead and check the screen flex. Definitely still has some screen flex. I'm taking a look at the G16. I mean, I would say that's just as wobbly. Now, one thing you're gonna get with the G16 and the M16 is the ergo lift. So as the screen opens, the laptop lifts off of the desk to give a little extra room for ventilation underneath the laptop. Now, going ahead and taking a look at the interior of each laptop, the nice thing is that they both fold completely flat. So you're not gonna have that 45-degree angle here on the HP Omen. They're both gonna open all the way. So no matter where you're at or where you're working, you have a lot of flexibility with viewing the screen. Now, they both have webcams on the top bezel of the screen, and here's a quick sample so you can see what those look like. This is the webcam on the Asus Republic of Gamer Zephyrus G16, and a little sample of the audio for you as well. This is the webcam on the Asus Republic of Gamer Zephyrus M16, and a little sample of the audio for you as well. This is the webcam on the HP Omen Transcendent, and a little sample of the audio for you as well. If you're curious about the exact pricing and availability of the G16, M16, or HP Omen, I'll put links in the description below. If you do make a purchase, I'll get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you. But of course, that's what keeps this channel alive and the helpful content coming your way. Now, personally, I think the speakers are a little bit better on the G16, so here's a quick audio sample of both so you can decide for yourself. Now, if we're comparing the G16 to the HP Omen, the screen is not even a comparison. Really where the comparison lies is with the M16. The M16 has a mini LED display just like the HP Omen. However, the HP Omen's display is super bright on the HP Omen Transcendent. It is insane. I reached 778 nits of screen brightness. Now, the G16 is a pretty standard IPS display, nothing fancy, about 300 nits of screen brightness. 100% sRGB, which is good, 79% Adobe RGB, and 79% DCI-P3 at a delta E of 1.21. And then the M16 has a much better brightness if you're comparing the two. You have 507 nits of brightness at 100% sRGB, 89% Adobe RGB, and 99% DCI-P3, all at a delta E of 0.97. So I would say that the best screen out of these three laptops is definitely the HP Omen by a long shot. It is really the way to go. Bright, color accurate, and has a great color gamut range. So that would be my personal decision if I was choosing between the three laptops. Like I said, they really stepped it up this year. HP made some great improvements on their laptop that we've been wanting to see for quite a while. Now, going ahead and taking a look at the interior of the laptop, the HP Omen has a slightly larger trackpad. If you want more of a dampened trackpad click, very soft, very quiet, I would go for the M16 or the G16. However, if you want kind of more of that confident, standard click sound, I would go for the HP Omen. Now, both of the keyboards are great. However, I personally like the more consolidated keyboard rather than the extra set of keys on the right side of the keyboard for the HP Omen. It's just more simplified. I love the G14 keyboard, the X13 keyboard. This is what I really prefer over the keys kind of being in this just different setup. It is nice, it is unique, but it's just different, and I'm more comfortable with the Asus keyboard than I would say the HP Omen keyboard. However, they're both really nice keyboards. They have a nice medium key press. They're both quiet, and really you can't go wrong with either one. Now, here's a quick audio sample of me using both keyboards and trackpads so you can hear what they sound like. Now, as far as the upgrade path is concerned, the HP Omen is going to be most similar to the M16. Both the M16 and the HP Omen, you can upgrade both RAM sticks and you can access two M.2 drives. Whereas with the G16, you can access two M.2 drives, but you're only able to upgrade one of the RAM sticks, which when we get into the performance benchmarks, to me, that's why we're seeing diminished performance. Right now, the system with the G16 as it comes out of the factory is only running on one RAM stick. The unoccupied RAM slot is remaining unoccupied until you, post-purchase, would decide to go ahead and put another 16 gig stick in, and then you have 32 gigs of RAM in the system. However, when running on one single 16 gig stick, I've seen diminished performance across all of the Asus models this year. So if you do purchase a G16 with an unoccupied RAM slot, I would definitely buy a stick of RAM to put into that slot and make the computer faster. Whereas the HP Omen and the M16 are both running on dual configured RAM. So what I'm saying is there's two 8 gig RAM modules in the Omen and the M16 versus 16 gigs of soldered RAM in the G16 without a second RAM module in the slot for the G16. I hope that makes sense because apparently I haven't been saying that clear enough on my other videos. So if that wasn't clear, please comment below and let me know. That rhymed. Without further ado, let's get into the performance benchmarks because this is where we can really start to make some decisions for which is the right laptop for you. Now, taking a look at Geekbench single core and multi-core, the HP Omen is absolutely crushing. Now, the M16 is not far behind, but I would say that if you're looking for the top performance, the HP Omen is the way to go, with the G16 falling quite a bit down the charts. Now, going ahead and taking a look at Cinebench R23, both single core and multi-core, we see the same story with almost the exact same placement on the chart. You can see the HP Omen is at the top, then the M16, and then the G16 falls down quite quickly. Now, this is really kind of confusing to me because there's a lot of other i7 laptops that perform really close to the i9s. However, the G16 is not one of those laptops. And so throughout all my tests, I was kind of surprised to see how much it fell behind. Looking at Photoshop, you can see that the HP Omen scores a 1217, whereas the M16 falls quite a bit behind at a 990. Not a terrible score, but definitely falling down the charts quite a bit. The G16 even further at an 817. Now, if you want to get more performance out of the G16, I definitely recommend occupying that secondary RAM slot that is available for a 16 gig stick. That will give you a big boost in performance. And I'm guessing we would see the high 900s similar to the M16 if you were to give this laptop 32 gigs of RAM rather than the stock 16 gigs of RAM it comes with. Now, going ahead and taking a look at After Effects. After Effects really was crushing it with the HP Omen. We scored a 993. Now, the Zephyrus M16 wasn't too far behind at a 913. However, once again, the G16 at a 722 falls behind the competition quite a bit. And I don't think this is the problem of the i7 processor itself. I think it's a problem of how the processor was optimized by Asus in this laptop, as well as the lack of two 8 gig sticks, which helps the laptop perform better than singular soldered 16 gig stick on the system. And like I said, if you added the additional 16 gig stick, I think having both RAM sticks running at the same time rather than one RAM stick with 16 gigs of RAM would definitely help us increase performance. And I mean, of course, because you're going to be upgrading it to probably 32 gigs of RAM, so it's definitely a good idea. Now, going ahead and taking a look at Blender Classroom, this is an area where I definitely saw some pickup from the G16, scoring a 900, with the M16 scoring a 1008, and the HP Omen scoring a 1010. So this is an area where the laptop started to even out a little bit, but still saw the G16 behind by a bit. Now, for Autodesk 3ds Max, Autodesk Maya, and PTC Creo, we see the HP Omen winning out amongst these three laptops, but the M16 is definitely right on its tail. But if you're going to be doing 3D modeling and you want to get the best performance from one of these laptops, I would definitely be going with the HP Omen. It has the i9 13900HX processor, definitely a higher performing processor than the standard H series. So we're really seeing some great performance upticks for the Omen in 3D modeling. Now moving on to video editing, one of the best scores I've seen on my channel for a 4K export. What I do for this test is put a 9-minute 4K clip into Premiere Pro, export out at full quality 4K YouTube settings, 2 minutes and 16 seconds from the Omen M16 229, G16 321. The G16 just kept not getting up there. Come on, G16. And for 6K video editing export times, the HP Omen Transcendent did good, but it wasn't as great as I expected, especially for that 2 minute and 16 second for 4K. It still scored at 1541, which is a great score, but I expected it more in like the 12 or 13 minute spot. The M16 performed pretty well, but still fell down. I was pretty shocked at a 20 minute and 14 second export time, and then the G16 at 29 minutes. The G16 is a laptop I would not recommend for 6K video editing. It just didn't have the punch that we needed with that i7 processor and the RTX 4060. I would definitely be going M16 or HP Omen, but I would personally push you towards the HP Omen if you're wanting all that performance. Now going ahead and taking a look at drop frames, we had 0 drop frames for 4K, 6K VRAW, and 6K rated footage out of the HP Omen, and I even tested 8K B-RAW, and we saw about 8,000 and 7,000 drop frames, which is pretty solid. A couple of years ago, the HP Omen was dropping 8,000 frames for 6K red footage and B-RAW, so that we're only doing that for now. 8K is really awesome, and this is out of 16,177 total frames in the project. Now, going ahead and taking a look at the M16 for drop frames, of course, we had 0 for 4K, but then again, for 6K B-RAW, we were dropping 790 frames. For 6K red footage, 0 drop frames. And then for 8K, it was like 15,000, yep, roughly, and then almost 10,000. So definitely the HP Omen is gonna be the better performer out of this lineup. Now we're gonna get into the battery life here in just a second. I'm not sure how you feel about these performance results. I honestly thought we would see a little better performance out of the M16, a little closer matchup, but looks like the HP Omen is really standing out this year, which is pretty neat. I'm excited to see its developments. Now going ahead and taking a look at battery life, the HP Omen was not as good on battery life. However, we had about 7 hours and 20 minutes for productivity, 8 hours for streaming video playback, about 5 hours for Photoshop, and almost 4 hours for video editing. And this is on a 97 watt hour battery. Whereas the M16, we saw 12 hours and 47 minutes for productivity, 10 hours and 13 minutes for streaming video playback, about almost 9 hours for Photoshop, and then 4 hours for video editing. Finally, the G16, 12 hours for productivity, 11 hours for video playback, 6 hours for Photoshop, and almost 4 hours for playback Premiere Pro. Now, all these tests are run with the laptops on quiet mode. I'm turning off the dedicated GPU for both the Asus models. I'm unable to turn off the dedicated GPU for the HP Omen, which is why I'm thinking we had less battery life. If we were able to turn off that dedicated GPU, I think we could get closer with the HP Omen. Now, all the laptops are set at 20% screen brightness. Keep in mind, 20% screen brightness on the HP Omen is going to be a good bit brighter than the Asus models because it has 778 nits. So that's a little discrepancy there as well that I tried to moderate, but you can only do so much to get that screen dim. And also you put Windows battery saver mode on. So those are the parameters and how I was able to achieve the different battery life results. I'm not sure if you can tell, but if it were me, I would be choosing the HP Omen for all the reasons that we've seen in this video so far. Performance, screen brightness, color gamut range, build quality, trackpad. I just think it really has a lot going for it this year. The Transcendent was a big upgrade from the 2022 model into 2023. Links in the description below if you're ready to make a purchase, and click or tap the screen here for more videos to help you with your buying decision. I'll see you in the next one.